Welcome. So, in the last session, I started discussing the last group of kingdom protista, that is protozoans. And we know there are four different groups under these protozoans: amoeboid protozoans, flagellated, ciliated protozoans, and sporozoans. And in the last session, I discussed only about amoeboid protozoans. Now, in this session, we'll see about flagellated, ciliated, and then sporozoans. And after that, we will begin with the kingdom fungi. So, let's start this session with the flagellated protozoans, right? So here the name itself tells us that these are the protozoans that have flagella. So they have flagella, and these flagella will help in the locomotion. Next step. So they are found in fresh waters and also in marine waters, that is seas and oceans. In them also you will find these organisms living. And here some are free living and others are parasites. So some of these parasites even cause disease in human beings, like for example, so in case of parasites, okay, causing or parasite causing disease in humans. So one example of that parasite that causes disease in humans is trypanosoma gambians. So this is the complete scientific name. So in the textbook they just mentioned the genus name. I have given the species name also. So here this one, it causes African sleeping sickness. So it causes a disease that is called African sleeping sickness in human beings. Okay, so that's a small information on flagellated protozoans. Now let's see about ciliated protozoans. We'll see about ciliated protozoans. Here also the name tells us that these are the protozoans that have cilia. So here the body is covered by cilia. So these cilia will help in locomotion and also help in capturing food. Okay, so now these are aquatic organisms. So these are aquatic, which means they live in waters. So that is either fresh waters or marine waters. So they live in fresh or marine waters. Okay, so they are aquatic. Then they are very much active, right, and move very quickly due to presence of cilia. So that is, they move actively due to presence of cilia. So there will be thousands of cilia that will cover whole body. So here I have drawn the diagram of paramecium, right? So you can see the whole body is covered by cilia. So cilia, the length is shorter when compared with the flagella. So flagella will be whip-like and more lengthier when compared with cilia. So cilia are shorter than flagella, right? And the paramecium will have one, okay, bigger nucleus. We call it macro nucleus, and there is another small nucleus, it's called micro nucleus. Okay, And here these are called contractile vacuoles. So these contractile vacuoles will help in osmoregulation. So I'll mention here contractile vacuoles. So they play important role in osmoregulation. So osmoregulation is maintenance of water balance in the body. So excess water will be collected by these contractile vacuoles and they will be releasing it to outside. And here we have gullet. So this is the gullet. So here the movement of cilia actually will help in guiding the water that is laden with food into the gullet, and then it results in the formation of a food vacuole. So here you can see the food is being collected and results in the formation of a food vacuole. So this is food vacuole, and inside this food vacuole the process of digestion takes place and then later absorption, and once that is finished the undigested will be released out. Right, so that's about paramecium. So paramecium is commonly called slipper animalcule, is commonly called slipper animalcule. Now let's see the last one, sporozoans. So these are the organisms that they have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. So they have a spore-like stage in their life cycle. So one example of this group is the plasmodium, right? So this plasmodium which causes malaria, we will see about that plasmodium, its life cycle and everything very detailedly in the second year. So just I'm giving you a little idea of the group, right, where the plasmodium belongs to. So these are sporozoans that they have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. Okay, so this group includes parasites, and one such parasite that cause disease in humans. So here for that example is plasmodium. So this plasmodium, it causes malaria in humans. So this plasmodium causes malaria in humans. Hence it is called malarial parasite. It's called malarial parasite. Okay. So about this malarial parasite that we will see, okay, later in our coming sessions. Okay, so that's all about the kingdom Protista, right? And the last group we have completed discussing about them. So we will move on to the next kingdom, is kingdom fungi. So the next group of organisms that I would like to discuss will be about kingdom fungi. All those organisms that are included under the kingdom fungi are heterotrophic organisms. They don't synthesize their own food, they depend on others. Okay, so these are eukaryotic. We know these are organisms, eukaryotic organisms, and are heterotrophs. So these are heterotrophs. So eukaryotic and heterotrophic organisms. Then, right, so almost all the organisms that are included under this are multicellular except a few. So almost all are multicellular. So it means that their body is made up of many cells, and very few are unicellular, and a few are unicellular. It means that their whole body is made up of only one cell. So in this case, one example is yeasts. So yeasts are unicellular, okay, fungi. So the rest of them, except those, are all multicellular organisms, multicellular fungi. And then this group includes, so what are all the organisms, the fungi which are included under this? It includes mushrooms. Hope everyone knows about mushrooms. All mushrooms are not edible, so very few mushrooms are edible, and the remaining are all poisonous. So okay, so mushrooms are included under this group. Then we have even toadstools. Then there are rust. So these rust will cause diseases in plants. Even smuts. So smuts are also fungi that cause diseases in plants. Then bread molds, etc., are all different groups of fungi, right? So mushrooms, toadstools, rust, smuts, bread molds, and most of these are parasitic, and some of them cause diseases in plants and also in animals. Next, so fungi are cosmopolitan in distribution, means they are present all over the world. So they are present all over the world, so they are cosmopolitan in distribution, and occur in soil, water. So they occur in soil, water, and air, right? So and air, okay. Then as I told you that the parasitic forms cause diseases in plants and animals. Like for example, in case of plants, a parasite called Puccinia. So Puccinia is the organism that belongs to the fungi, and this one causes wheat rust. It causes wheat rust. Just now I told you the rust and smuts are diseases. So they are the fungi that cause diseases in case of plants. So here Puccinia is an example that causes wheat rust. And some of these fungi are useful to humans also. Okay, like for example, penicillium. So this penicillium is a fungus, and from this penicillium, we produced antibiotics. So we obtain antibiotics. So these antibiotics are chemicals used against disease-causing bacteria. So we use against this disease causing bacteria, so it's a medicine. So we use it like a medicine in curing diseases like typhoid, cholera, who are actually caused by bacterial infections. Okay, so penicillium is a fungus from which we obtain antibiotics, which are chemicals actually produced by these a certain group of fungi. Not all, certain group of fungi will produce these antibiotics, and those we are making use of those antibiotics in curing certain diseases. And here these unicellular yeasts are also being used by human beings. Okay, so these yeasts are used in preparation of breads, and even okay manufacturing of alcoholic beverages like beers. So we use these yeast in, okay, in preparation of these breads and also in the manufacturing of alcoholic beverages. One example which I have given here is beer. Fungi like to grow in warm and moist locations. So they prefer to grow in, okay, humid. So humid, which means there is a lot of moistness, so water vapor present in the atmosphere. So those conditions we call humid conditions. Okay, so they prefer to grow in humid conditions, and also, okay, I mean, I'll mention humid and warm conditions. So they prefer to grow in humid and warm conditions. Okay, now let's see how is the body of fungus, and what it is, and how it looks, and what it is made up of. And so the body of fungus, so the body of a fungus. So here the body of fungus consists of long slender thread like structures. So they are, okay, long slender thread like structures. So these long, okay, slender thread like structures are called hypae. So here singular is hypa. So only one filament is called hypa, or one thread like structure is called hypa. So we'll see, okay, so like this. So all these are, each one is one hypa, and all these are interconnected to form a network. So it will be very a huge network, you will see. It's a huge network, okay. And the network, so this is network of hypae. So network of hypae. So the network of hypae is called mycelium. Is called mycelium. Okay. So this whole is mycelium. This whole structure is mycelium. Okay. So in mycelium you will find long thread like okay, structures, slender thread like structures, and they are all interconnected one to one, and result in the formation of a network. So that's what I call it, network, okay, of hypae. Network of hypae, and that network of hypae is what we call mycelium. So the body of fungus is mycelium, that is made up of network of hypae, and these hypae or the filaments may be septate or aseptate. So these hypae may be septate or aseptate. So here from Greek, septum, which means wall. So which means wall. Septum means wall. Here septate means there is presence of wall. And aseptate, so wherever such words come here, where a means no. So no septum. So absence of wall. So absence of wall. So septate will see presence of wall, and aseptate, which means absence of wall. So let's see here how it looks. Here I just drawn the line, but when we magnify it further, then okay, each filament may be seen in this way. Okay, so this is a filament, and these filaments may be branched or unbranched, that later we'll see it. Okay, so here I have drawn an unbranched filament, and if you find, okay, these transverse partitions, So these transverse partitions are called, okay, septum. Okay, septum, singular. Okay, septa plural, and these are septa. So if septa are present, then this filament is called septate. So it is a septate filament. It's a septate filament or a septate hypa, also you can call it. And you find nucleus per, so we can take it as, okay, so the remaining is the cytoplasm. So nucleus, and this is cytoplasm. Okay, so this is how you see in case of a septate filament. And in another case, you may not find that these transverse partitions. Okay, so hence as a result, uh, you will see this as just like one single cell with many nuclei. Okay, so hence it gives an appearance of a multinucleate condition. So this is aseptate filament. So this is called aseptate filament, right? So here this I call it multinucleated cytoplasm. So it is called multinucleated cytoplasm, right? You don't find any transverse partition. So such multinucleated cytoplasm, we call them as a xenocytic hypa or hypae. So xenocytic condition. So multinucleate condition is xenocytic condition. So this is xenocytic hypa, because I'm showing only one, so that's why I have mentioned xenocytic hypa. So here, okay, multinucleated condition is what we call it xenocytic, is called xenocytic. So this is a xenocytic condition because of absence of transverse partitions, that is septa are not present. It all looks like one single cell with many nuclei. So if it is the case, then we need to call it a multinucleated cytoplasm, and in this case we are using xenocytic hypa. Of course, that multinucleated condition I told you, it is called xenocytic condition, and this is xenocytic hypa. Next here, the cell walls of fungi. So they are made up of substances called chitin and polysaccharides. So chitin and polysaccharides. Okay, even if you don't understand what these polysaccharides and all, we will study in a chapter called biomolecules in detail about all those polysaccharides, proteins, and okay, fats in detail. We'll discuss there. So just keep in mind. So polysaccharides are carbohydrates. So they are carbohydrates. Okay, and chitin, we'll see what it is made up of later in our coming sessions. Okay, right. So that's the cell walls of fungi, which are composed of chitin and polysaccharides. So when you compare this with the cell wall of plants, so there the cell wall of plants is composed of cellulose, so that is completely different. So right, so in long back some classifications have included all these into one group, but later when we have understood, okay, the biochemistry, then we separated these fungi, right? So the cell walls of fungi, they are made up of chitin and polysaccharides. Next, you'll see that the fungi are saprophytes. So these are saprophytic organisms. I hope everyone have understood what is the meaning of saprophytes. We have seen in our earlier sessions. Okay, right? Then the others, as I told, that they are parasites. So they are saprophytic organisms, and okay, some are parasites and some other are symbionts, and some other are symbionts. So symbionts are organisms that are part of symbiosis. Okay, so symbiont is a part of, okay, symbiosis. So symbiosis is a mutual association between two different species. So symbiosis is a mutual association between two different species in which both species benefit. So in which both species will get benefit. Okay, like in this case I'll give you an example. Okay, the mycorrhiza is a association between, it's a mutualic association. So whenever I say the mutualic association, which means the two species which are present together will get benefit from another, right? So association between, okay, fungi and roots of higher plants. Some fungi will get associated with the roots of higher plants, and they live all the time together. Okay, and in this case the fungi will help the plant, and the plants will help the fungi. So in coming sessions we will see detailedly that how this association is a mutualistic association, and how the fungi gets benefit from the, okay, plant, and how the plant gets benefit from fungi. And one more example is about lichens. So these lichens are also mutualistic association. So this is association between fungi and algae, right? So an alga and a fungus that live together and both get benefit. Okay, so the algae helps the fungi and fungi helps the algae. So how is that? I tell you that we'll see in coming sessions, right, in detail. We will again come across with these lichens. Okay, almost at the end of this chapter I'm going to discuss again about these lichens and association between fungi and algae. So here in both these cases, right, there will be association of two different species, and those two different species will get benefit, right? So with this I will end here. So in the next session we will see the reproduction, how it takes place in case of these fungal organisms, and then we will also discuss about various classes of this kingdom fungi.